What's up, Westfield?
We're here to talk about ways you can integrate technology into your day-to-day to help you be techie as heck.
I'm Kristin Morris.
And I'm Samantha Wilsker.
And this is your TechRocks podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about our origin stories. You know, just a way for you to get to know who we are. Right?
I love it. Yeah, let's do it.
How'd we get here?
They want to know.
They want to know.
They do.
I know you want to know. You want me to start?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. So just like Sophia Petrillo, picture it. Indianapolis, 2010, Pike Township. So this is about 3 years into my teaching journey, and I met a friend. She ended up working on my first grade team at this point, and we were just kicking things back and forth all the time, spending a lot of time together, trying to figure out teaching life together. We were both pretty young. Everything was kind of overwhelming and new. But my friend really loved technology, loved technology. She taught the high ability class. And so she felt that this was another way to engage her students and really expand on learning. And she found a good outlet for her and her kids to really show what they know. So she always had really cool tech tools and things that she wanted me to try in my classroom as well. And we were just right down the hall from each other. And she'd always be like, "Hey, Kristin, man, you got to try this out." And I'd be like, "That sounds awesome." And when I could, I'd go check it out in her classroom. But I always had this feeling like I couldn't do that myself. Like that was too overwhelming for me. I didn't have enough time. I wasn't really sure how she was managing it all. You know what I'm feeling?
I do, but help paint that picture for me. 2010, what kind of tech are we working with?
I mean, we had a lot of the similar things that we have now as far as Google Slides. It's obviously come a long way. We were definitely projectors and whiteboards and markers, but kids had iPads and, they weren't new, but it was still pretty new for iPads, right? To be rolling out into kids' hands and ways that we could use iPads in the classroom.
It was way before we did it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get to that later. But yeah, she was just trying different ways, like different math apps that the kids could be using, things like that. Same stuff that we're still doing today, but obviously today our technology has come much further, 14 years later. But so we were kind of on that early edge of things. And I think that's what also made it scary is that we hadn't done a lot with tech integration. And she was always finding ways to do this and trying to share those with me. And so we came up with this idea where I would go hang out in her class and watch her kids and help out with whatever they needed, make sure they were all safe and taken care of. Well, she came into my room and ran a tech lesson, if you will. So my kids always got excited to see her come in and they knew they were going to learn something new and really cool. And I was just thinking to myself, man, that's really cool. My kids love her because she's always rolling out these innovative things to them. And the coolest part was my kids got to learn it. I was just hanging out with her kids, helping with anything they needed academically and kind of teaching a lesson here or there if needed. But when I came back, I was all of a sudden fully immersed in this technical room. And the best part was I always got credit on your teacher. It was oh man, you really have integrated, you can tell you've taken the time to integrate this tech with your kids. They're confident, they're loving it, they're engaged. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Okay, so as we know, I didn't have anything to do with that. I just got to soak up all the benefits because once it's released, the kids just grab it and go.
They do. Well, I think too, I'm hearing those themes too of collaboration. You guys gave your students multiple adults that are invested in them. Absolutely. And I just think it's cool that you do that through technology too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I got to learn so much along the way because of course my kids were not going to let me bow out and be I don't know how to do it. So they would be teaching me, they'd be teaching each other, and we were kind of all learning. And then we fast forward, it's 2019, 2020, I came here to Westfield. My daughter was starting kindergarten at Washington Woods, and I just wanted to be on the same schedule. So I was lucky enough to kind of land a job. Actually, it's where I first met you.
It is.
At the interview table.
At your interview, yeah.
Because I was taking your position.
She was. It was the best.
Samantha will get to this later in her origin story, but she was on her way to bigger and better things. And I was kind of sliding into Westfield, which is where I really wanted to be. It's where I spent my whole entire adulthood. I bought my first house out here and I was always driving out to Pike. And so it was about due time for it to end. But of course, it's 2020 now. So everything shuts down. Me, who is not technical, I didn't really have a leg to stand on. My friend wasn't in here, with teaching with me anymore. And I always found it funny anyways, when I came to Westfield, I had learned all these tech things. And I remember when I first came, my team and I were getting ready to go down to our first meeting, our first staff meeting. And I was like, hey guys, I haven't found my laptop yet or been issued anything. And I see them all standing there, looking at me, confused. Why would I be asking about a laptop or whatever? And they've all got these notebooks and pens. And I was they're oh yeah, we just take our notebooks. And I was like, I don't have one of those.
It's so interesting hearing that perspective of that as being on that team because I'm thinking back and I'm like, man, what did we do? like, I know we were doing really great things, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, when we went to staff meetings, like, yeah, we didn't have computers to take with us.
People really love their Flair pens.
I still love Flair pens.
I get them for Christmas every year. My kids get them. I mean, I do love a good Flair pen, but I loved them even more that year because I didn't have a laptop. But eventually, we did end up getting them, and luckily, even before 2020. So I think I only spent like a month or two that year without a laptop, and then we were all issued, the Dells that we still all use now. But anyway, so 2020 hits and we're all teaching online. So I'm starting to learn new tricks, and I've got some things in my bag from Pike and some things that I'd learned there, and I'm getting to use them. And then I took over the kindergarten position the following year, and I was teaching virtually, like completely virtual for the year. We had those amazing Fridays that we had off that I just, oh my goodness, we got so much done. I swear we taught more curriculum having one less day to teach than we did.
There are studies that kind of back that up. Because you have more time to really get yourself wrapped around it and know what you're going to do every day and not, feel constrained with time.
Yeah. So let's think about that Fridays off here.
Let's put it into the universe.
Put it in the universe. It's out.
Love it.
Yep. Okay. So anyway, and through my journey with teaching online, and I had so much fun with it, and I was forced to learn so much. I had to know how to get curriculum across to kids in a virtual setting. So I decided I wanted to go ahead and go get my master's, and I got it with education and technology. And it put me in this perfect position because come the following year, I was getting an idea that I love the technology. I've got this degree. What am I going to do with it? And through working with people like Linda, who was in this position doing the whole district by herself before, we even became a team of 5, she was a team of 1. I can't even imagine trying to integrate all the technology across the whole district.
No. One thing though I remember telling her this too. I remember her doing, it was she was helping do a PD. It was not about the product she was using. It was about something completely different. But because she embedded that within, I think it was Pear Deck. And I remember being like, oh, it was just such a nice immersive way to put it out there in a way that made me just want to learn more without it being explicit.
Yep.
So I just love that. She's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. She knows her stuff.
She does.
Yeah. But anyway, so I kind of learned about this. Linda and I worked together a lot that previous year before I took this role on. So it was just a really nice fit. And then so I came from someone who was unwilling to really integrate technology to someone letting someone else come in and integrate the technology to somebody who's running full virtual classes online, getting a master's in technology. And now I'm out trying to help other teachers understand and use technology to the best of their ability to help their workflow, to help their student engagement. And I just love the ability to work with tech and help teachers and students.
I love it.
So here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am. How did you get here, Samantha?
Well, I have always been in Westfield. I think this is year 12 or 13 for me. I taught kindergarten for a year. It's a great year. And then first grade for a really long time. Around 2020, when you came, the opportunity came up. Our librarian was retiring, and they posted the job, and I was just curious. I just always like to look at job postings because I'm curious. But it was posted as an innovation specialist. So I went to my principal and I was like, yo, what's that? Because I'm just used to my kids they would go and check out books, and that's great. But this just, I was curious. And he knew me really well. He knew my wheels were turning because I was like, ooh, what is this? And he had answered, he's like, it's not really defined yet. They're just trying to figure it out. My eyes probably got a little bit bigger, and he just straight up looked at me. He goes, if this is something you're going to go after, you have to really sell it because we love you where you're at. And I was like, done. And in my head, I'm like, challenge accepted. And I did.
For those of you who don't know, that's her whole mentality anyway. She should wear a t-shirt every day that says done, challenge accepted.
I do. I love learning about new things. And this is a blank slate. It was this hasn't been done. We can do cool things with this. I talked to my team about it because I was very close with my first grade team. So that was kind of a hard thing, but I wanted them to sort of be along the journey so it wasn't like a blindside. And was able to kind of come up with some cool ideas about how I would work with teachers and utilize their standards and pull that into innovation as the kids came into a rotation. Because in innovation, there was no grades. So I could take these risks and see what happened, is where at the time prior in the classroom, I might have been more nervous to do that in case things didn't go well. So what I learned from that was by incorporating technology into these projects, students were super engaged.
Skyrockets.
It was bananas. Like we did projects like for 3rd grade, I think at the time, they have this huge unit on figurative language. So we utilized Bitables at the time was a program. I don't know if it's still out there, but the kids could make these videos with these little like claymation characters or other like visuals to model different types of figurative language. And then it was neat because then they got to share those with their peers. So they're doing presentation skills. Like the amount of skills that I could embed into a project was awesome. And it was neat because sometimes like I loved when teachers would come early to see the kids presenting, because then it gets those wheels turning too, like how can we incorporate that back into the classroom? We even did one with kindergarten. I think of one of your old colleagues too, because she was always the best and she would hype me up and I was just so thankful. But we did a whole thing on Lewis Latimer.
Okay.
With the kids, and we took a lemon and made a battery, like, because technology can be so many things.
So many things. You know, a pencil is technology.
Yeah, well, there you go. I love that.
FYI.
Yes. But it was just neat because the kids were just like, oh, like, what is this? Fast forward a couple years, I really did want to get back into the classroom because I was kind of like thinking of what my path was going to be. I wanted different experiences. But the cool thing about that was I went into 4th grade and I could take some of the things I was doing with students in innovation and start doing that in the classroom. Which I'm a big person of, like, if I'm going to work with teachers or speak to things, I want them to know, like, I've been in the same shoes. Like, we've done those things. So that was really cool. And then our tech integration specialist, Kristin Morris.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah, it is. She would email me like, hey, let's get together. What do you want to do? What do you want to learn? And sometimes I would be like, yeah, for sure. I want to get together. And then she'd come by in the hallway like a month later, like,
stalker.
Yeah, she did. She just kept coming after me. So it was super fun because then kind of getting to see what that role looks like from a teacher perspective on like how Kristin could come in and support, like got my wheels turning a little bit. And then there was the opportunity for your team to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going from Linda covering the whole district to just me, Linda, and Christian covering the district, and then the need to really get into all the buildings, expanding to that 5-person team with Shelly and you.
Yes. And it was nerve-wracking because at the time, like, I didn't know, like, there were a couple variations of the position, like with what grade levels you would support. And so it was 5th through 8th grade is what I was lucky enough to kind of be able to get that role. But it was scary, kind of like the same way trying new technology is scary.
Absolutely.
Like, I didn't know what I was getting into. Would the teachers be okay with me coming from elementary? You know, I haven't done all those things, but it has been one of my most favorite roles I've ever done. I think I say that about everything.
You do. You like to jump in and have a good time.
I do. And my students used to say that too. We'd do a new unit and I'd be like, guys, this is my favorite. And they go, you say that about everything. But it is. I just like love learning. And so it was cool. It was just this opportunity to be constantly just devouring new information and supporting teachers in different ways. This is also where I went from Sam to Samantha.
It is.
It is. Linda asked, she's like, what would you want to be called? And I thought about it and I was like, I don't know a ton of teachers in 5th through 8th grade. Samantha. Because my whole life I wanted that. Everybody called me Sam. So here we are.
So not even an origin story here, people. We've got a rebirth.
Yeah, or just a correction, right? Like, I think it was just speaking up for what I like. I think my whole life I just let it roll. Like, I didn't say, I don't like being called Sam. Call me Samantha.
It's fair, but it is difficult for people who've known you before the change. So sometimes you might hear me refer to Samantha. Sam Antha. Because I forgot the Antha.
But the great thing is just I always give grace.
Give grace.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be.
It is.
Well, I was kind of thinking about some of the things you were saying too, and thinking of our teachers about how it is nerve-wracking to kind of think about doing something new. It's scary, that time, that failure. But I'm a big believer in failure. I just think it's the best learning process. And spoiler alert, Samantha and I did fail today.
We did. We did.
We failed hard, guys.
We did.
This is take 2 of episode 1.
It is.
So we got really excited because we crushed episode 1.
Yeah, we did.
We really did. And we went
I don't know. I like this one.
Maybe I like this one too, maybe.
Yeah.
But we went to go listen to it, and it sounded fine, but something was off, and we realized we did not turn on our mics. So
wait, can we say how we noticed that it was off?
Yeah, there is a way that we noticed, because we couldn't hear ourselves doing this, and we really like talking like this.
We do. It's a lot of fun, and you have to slow your pace down, but
which is hard for me.
It's really good practice for Kristin.
Mm-hmm. Can you go
put me as a chipmunk?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm so glad to be here today. And now we know our mics are working.
Because when we went to play back that original take, I noticed that voice didn't happen. We
didn't register at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And then Krista goes, is it the Mac microphone that recorded this? So all that to be said, though, same way our students do that, we just failed forward and we learned a lesson. We are always going to do what?
Turn on the mics.
Yeah, and do a proper sound check.
Proper sound check.
Yeah, playback, the whole thing.
We're just going to make sure testing.
It is. Yeah, so here we are.
So episode 1 is just about, we all have an origin story, and wherever you're standing today could be the beginning of a new origin story. We always have that moment that things can change for us, and we never quite know when that's going to be. So, if you're one of those people who, let's use the word tech shy.
Ooh, I like that.
Remember, that's kind of where I started anyway, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted nothing to do with it, but I saw value in it. So there was an Apple professional that I worked with a couple years ago, and something he said stuck with me. It was, no one was born with the knowledge to do anything you're good at. So saying that I can't do that because I'm not very good at it, well, you were never very good at whatever you're really good at now. Yeah. There was a time when that just wasn't so good. Like our first take of this episode, we didn't turn the mics on. And I sure hope we can look back at this episode and think, wow, we've come so far.
Yeah, I think so. And I think too, I think of that with Canvas, right? Like when I first started dabbling, I was like, I didn't use this in elementary, and now I love it.
Correct.
So much. But I love it because I also utilize the support around me. Mm-hmm. And so I think, as we're talking to all of our staff and teachers and that are around, you've got 5 people in the district right now who want to jump on board and help if you want it.
Yeah. And we're always learning things too. So a lot of times we're learning things alongside of you. And I love that space to grow together.
Yes.
Because, I can't really remember if it was this take or the last take, but Samantha was talking about learning alongside of teams and teachers and how much she learned because she didn't do those things in the classroom. So being able to kind of bounce ideas back and forth and learn from each other, there's just so many ways to do things. Mm-hmm. And just the more people you can have those conversations with, the more eyes you can have on your classroom, the more people interacting with your students, everybody benefits from learning from each other.
I think so. I think that being comfortable with that authenticity of I don't know. I feel really lucky with the teachers I work with because especially year 1, they would ask questions and I'd be like, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. And I would make sure that I found out as quick as possible. And I think that actually helped me build some relationships too, because I wasn't somebody coming in pretending to know everything. Mm-hmm. I want to learn with you. I want to learn for you. And it was the same thing as a teacher in the classroom. I feel like we did that with our kids too. So it's, the same but different.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's a wrap on episode 1.
Yeah. I think I like this version the best.
This is a pretty good version.
It is.
All right, guys. Remember,
stay techie as heck.